your loads and make that money flow. Keep the shiny side up wherever we go. Set your own schedule, master of the road. Hauling Freedom's cargo, lightening up your load. Tips and tricks for truckers, yeah, we're helping you from dawn till dusk. We'll see it through. Staying driven hard in it every mile. Hunting gears and wearing a smile. From hustling 60 truckers, yeah, we're helping you from dawn till dusk. We'll see it through. Staying driven hard in every mile. Hunting gears and wearing a smile. From hustling city streets to the country lane. Driven truck, yeah, we ease the strain. Eyes on that line from sunrise to moonshine. Owner operators, this show's for you. Tune in, get tips, and roll on through. From diesel fumes to mountain views, we'll guide your way. Hauling grit and glory every single day. On the rubber, feel the freedom in every bend. Driven trucking, your best highway friends. Staying driven hard in it every mile. Truckers, yeah, we're helping you from dawn till dusk. We'll see it through. Staying driven hard in every mile. Hunting gears and wearing a smile. From hustling city streets to the country lane. Driven truck, yeah, we ease the strain. Yeah, the strain. Stay driven.
Good morning. How's everybody doing? I hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody is happy, healthy, and making lots of money. Camp over here is, we're still trying to get well. Apologies, a little delayed today. That's, man, I don't know, just struggling. It's been a struggle for like 2 weeks now. I need some easy times. So yeah, like, last night took my son to his first Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class, and that was a lot of fun. If you've never seen 7-year-olds rolling, it's a good time. But he thoroughly enjoyed it, which is great. I feel like all kids really should have some kind of martial arts discipline. Helps with the self-confidence, self-esteem boost and all of that. But he had a blast, and I had a blast watching him in the class, and so really excited for that. That'll be a new journey moving forward for him, and it'd be cool to watch him grow. Apparently my dog wants to say hi this morning. I was just thinking this morning too how they really hadn't made any noise during any of these live streams, and I was so proud of them. I'm still proud of him, but yeah, she said hello, so hi. If you're catching this on the replay, you can go down to the comment section and look at there's a pinned comment with the timestamp, and it'll take you straight to what you're looking for on this video. I do ask, I appreciate everybody tuning in. I ask that you would hit that like button, and in return, we'll go over a dad joke. So that way maybe you can get a little chuckle. Who was the fattest knight at King Arthur's round table? Circumference. Oh, a math joke. That's great. I was a pretty big math nerd, math geek growing up. I don't know. It just kind of came easy to me. Good morning, Hossicle. I love that name, man. That name cracks me up. Well, without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right in. If there's a lane that you'd like to see the average the average rate for, just type that in the comment section. Obviously, you won't be able to do that on the replay, but you can type that if you're watching this live. If you're curious just about a specific lane, I'm happy to give you the last 15-day average. DAT supplies you with that if you use their load board. That being said, there is in that pinned comment as well as the description box. If you're thinking about signing up for DAT, you can use that link. You get 10% off for the next 12 months. So, alrighty, let's go ahead and get into the weather. The weather looking great, just pretty much across the board. There's nada. So got some clear skies, got some open road. Do it to it, get it done. But as we look into tomorrow, we got some stuff popping up. Got some stuff popping up down there on the Gulf Coast, just all the way across the board. Looks like we got a system moving in the northwest. A little bit of rain, just kind of in the Midwest, northern Midwest, really Great Lakes area. So if you're in those areas, keep an eye on the weather. You never know; it can turn in an instant. Looks like that what's coming in on the northwest is going to dump a decent amount of rain. And it looks like what's in the southeast or the south is going to just kind of hang out. And then it looks like in a couple of days, you got something brewing up there in that Great Lakes area. So always keep an eye on the weather. That will help you out with being on time. On time is a good thing because you make more money. Brokers are happy. Receivers are happy. Shippers are happy. Everybody's happy. So make everybody happy. All right, so diving into the trucking market, we're going to start with the national load counts. Now, this is just an overview of each state. I like to start here because this gives us a nice barometer or a nice starting point for kind of what freight is doing just in general. And then in a few minutes, we will dive into the specific markets and look to see where the freight's at in those actual states. A great example of this is going to be California. California, the majority of the freight is almost always in the southern part, down there in the LA area, whereas like the northern part doesn't have a ton of freight. So don't just blindly go to California, or don't go blindly to any state, really. Try to make sure that you're going to the hottest markets, that way you have the shortest deadheads. You can make the most money, right? That's why we're all here. All right, so Alabama, 613 loads in to 255 loads out. That's horrendous, way down. Alabama, just if you're headed that way, just get a load and get the heck out of there. Arkansas, 219 loads in to 264 loads out. So that's kind of still just in good shape, or okay shape, I should say. Arizona, 575 loads in, 259 loads out, just kind of standard. California, 1,599 loads in, but 2,822 loads out. So that's way up for California. You should see a bump in rates over there. So California looking solid. Colorado, 290 loads in, 151 loads out. That's a drop for Colorado. Connecticut, 169 loads in, 180 loads out. So Connecticut's still in okay shape. But it's when you get up in the Northeast, like just the majority of those states are not in okay shape. So, you're just not going to be able to negotiate a whole heck of a lot if they're in the Northeast. DC, 19 loads in, 11 loads out. Delaware, 39 loads in to 29 loads out. Florida, 2,152 loads in, 371 loads out. I didn't think it could get worse. Apparently it can. Georgia, 2,109 loads in, 773 loads out. Also got worse. More trucks in and less loads out. Iowa, 219 loads in, 335 loads out. Iowa remains a solid state, and you've got some negotiating power there. So all these brokers make sure that they're giving you all the money. Idaho, 93 loads in, 158 loads out. Northwest, or at least the first state up there, is looking strong. Illinois, 768 loads in, 1,836 loads out. So Illinois is going to be in great shape. With that few of trucks headed that way, look for Illinois to just remain strong for the remainder of the week. So that's solid. Indiana, 489 loads in to 1,111 loads out. 111. Really good for Indiana. Yeah, that's a great spot. You can get all the money getting out of Indiana, especially with Illinois being right there. It's kind of the two, you got Ohio as well, but those two states being in such good shape right there, you should make some pretty good money out of there. Kansas, 205 loads in, 198 load out. A little bit of a dip, but nominal. Kentucky, 393 loads in, 556 loads out. So they're still remaining strong, well above that 50-50 mark. Louisiana, 239 loads in, 220 loads out. That's still kind of hanging on, but it is a dip a little bit. Massachusetts, 329 loads in, 201 loads out. That's a dip. Maryland, 370 loads in to 308 loads out. Also another dip. Maine, 79 loads in to 76 loads out. Now, how that happens, I don't know, because yesterday that was double on the loads out. So that's fascinating. Your guess is as good as mine. I can't explain that. Michigan, 436 loads in, 667 loads out. Now, that's interesting because that's a bit of a dip on the loads out and kind of steady for the loads in. Normally, we see a push up there in those middle northern states or the Great Lakes states, but we're not quite seeing that. We're also not really seeing that in Minnesota. 199 loads in to 453 loads out. Good news is that those numbers have remained the same, so you still got negotiating power there for sure, but not really seeing that boost that I like to see towards the end of the week. Who knows? We got a couple more days. We'll see, or one more day. We'll see. Missouri, 420 loads in to 554 loads out, still remaining solid. Actually, a little bit of a boost in supply, so that's good, or a boost in demand. Excuse me. Mississippi, 195 loads in, 217 loads out, so still remaining okay, but with the surrounding states, just not great. Montana, 63 loads in to 57 loads out. North Carolina, 1,609 loads in, 700 loads out. Not a surprise. They've got that hurricane over there, I think, and we see a little bit of a dip in the loads out. So just not really a surprise there. North Dakota, 31 loads in, 155 loads out. I mean, you got some serious negotiating power in North Dakota. Make sure they're paying you all the money up there. Nebraska, 127 loads in to 90 loads out. That is a massive dip, shockingly. New Hampshire, 89 loads in, 43 loads out. Jersey, 479 loads in, 864 loads out. Yeah, also a dip. It's still in good shape. It's still well above that 50-50 mark, but pretty sizable dip, not only for loads in, but for a little, decent dip for loads out as well. New Mexico, 100 loads in, 105 loads out. Interesting. That's a pretty big fall off. And like I said, don't trust it. Just because that was way up yesterday, and I said consider going there if you could book a load in like immediately, or you already had something booked going out. But case in point, it just fell off massively. So yeah, and New Mexico is just one of those states you just really don't want to go to unless it's just paying so well. I'm talking like $4 a mile. Just avoid it. Nevada, 209 loads in, 350 loads out, so still remaining in good shape. New York, 566 loads in to 937 loads out, just kind of standard for New York, which is good. Ohio, 848 loads in to 1,528 loads out, so the Midwest is in really good shape. That's great. Oklahoma, 250 loads in to 90 loads out. That's a dip in production as well as loads in. Oregon, 169 loads in, 520 loads out. Northwest looking real strong, and it's been strong for the last couple of weeks. So hopefully you're either headed to the Northwest or to the Great Lakes states. Pennsylvania, 1,165 loads in, 1,478 loads out. Got a bit of a rise in loads in and loads out, a bit of a dip. But I mean, really, it's pretty much remained the same. A lot of the New York, Jersey boys probably headed that way, considering that the loads in numbers were a little bit down for those states. So not a lot of negotiating power in PA. Rhode Island, 63 loads in, 36 loads out. South Carolina, 695 loads in, 416 loads out. Once again, a dip in production. Down there in the dirty, South Dakota, 40 loads in, 64 loads out. So that is that's an increase in the supply demand situation, but a bit of a decrease in the numbers. It's a good thing because you've got that area. You don't want to see a massive swing in one of the surrounding states next to North Dakota. That way, that solidifies that negotiating power that you have up there. So Tennessee, 796 loads in, 604 loads out. Bit of a dip, but you've also got a dip in loads in, so it's essentially remained the same. Texas, 2,550 loads in, 1,228 loads out. That's not good at all for Texas. I mean, Texas is Texas. You don't get paid to run out of Texas, but you've got a dip there too. Seeing the kind of dips across the board, unfortunately. But some states are in good shape, and if you're positioning your truck properly, which you likely are if you are here and you are listening, then kudos to you, because we're seeing some pretty serious dips across the board in a lot of states. Utah, 152 loads in, 167 loads out. Yeah, I mean, it's Utah. There's really not a whole lot of negotiating going on over there. It's just not a great state to run out of. 773 loads in for Virginia to 739 loads out. It's right there at that average mark. Not good, not bad. Vermont, 37 loads in, 54 loads out. Washington, 293 loads in, 596 loads out. So yeah, that Northwest is looking really, really good. Yeah, that's where you're going to make the most money at the moment. And the Great Lakes states are still in really good shape too. West Virginia, 102 loads in to 109 loads out. And then Wyoming, 40 loads in, 40 loads out. It's Wyoming, right? Not great. Let's see what we have over here. Good morning, Sevenfold. Morning, Jomrus. Previously ran load boards. Got so bad that local jobs got better for me in Ohio. Just looking to see how things are going. Gotcha. Aunt Cool. Good morning. Yeah, it's man, the Biden administration just freaking ruined everything. Like it's just horrendous. I don't know what the pricing of trucks are right now, but I mean, I don't know. The car market has seen a dip in demand. So the pricing of cars, they're selling for cheaper now. I don't know if trucks follow cars, to be honest. That's not something that I've looked into a lot. But I would prepare for a healthy boost, especially if Trump wins. The economy is going to come back. It's going to come back real strong, and we'll be in really, really good shape. If we've got to sit through another 4 years of a nightmare, essentially what we have already, then yeah, I'd be looking to get out. But at the same time, right now, I'd be preparing to buy if I didn't have a truck, or preparing to buy more, really. So yeah, I hear you. That was a good move if you did it early and you didn't have to kind of suffer through these last couple of years. But I fully believe that Trump's going to wind up winning, and we're going to have a really strong 4 years over the next 4 years. So we'll see how it goes. Wait, Bidenomics isn't working. Yeah, but maybe we'll be unburdened by what has been. She's such a moron. Anyway, these are the trend lines here. Don't really go deep into these later in the week, but we're gonna have a brief look because I was looking over this and then I saw something else that I wanted to get into. So that was cool. But the load to truck ratios are up again. A little bit down for reefers, but reefers very seasonal. So with these numbers increasing, hopefully with Trump winning, these numbers will go up massively. You can see that year over year, we're gaining ground. We're gaining ground on the vans. They're really pushing in the flatbeds, and reefers. reefer is reefer. Like it's not really going to change a whole heck of a lot. Everybody's got to eat, so those it just is what it is. But fuel prices are the same as they were last week, but down 21.5% over last year. Funny how that works in a presidential election year, right? Get me started. The spot rates, they're increasing actually, which is great. We're up 5 pennies from last month for vans, dollar up or up to 202. For flatbeds, we're up 5 pennies, up to 244 average. And reefer, we're still down 2 cents. Poor reefer. Actually, I don't feel bad at all for you guys because you guys make lots of money in season. But this is what I wanted to. Well, we're going to come back. Fuel prices remain the same at average $3.54 across the board. But this is what I wanted to talk about, or just what just really what I'm going to wind up reading every day because I read this and I don't know why I didn't before, but it's great. So Storm sends freight to spot market. So this is talking. It's just a weekly brief of the September 23rd to the 29 weeks. It says that load posts rose last week, especially in the southeast where freight was rescheduled in anticipation of Hurricane Helen. The destruction will continue to create more volatility in those markets, and our thoughts go out to those affected by the storm. So what this really is, this is kind of we're looking into the past, right? And if you study the past, then you can prepare for the future. I don't know if you know this, but Warren Buffett spends the first 8 hours of his day reading um, company statements. Like I forget the actual term, but it's just numbers. Like he's just reading numbers, and that's how he became so good because history always repeats itself, right? And if you educate yourself with what has happened in the past, then you can prepare for the future. So I really like this. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on that, but I did want to do just kind of a short explanation as to why. And yeah, you're seeing that. We saw a massive boost in production at the beginning of the week from states that we typically don't see that from. But as we get closer and closer to the election, I do think that it's either going to go up or going to go down. I don't think it remains the same, but that remains to be seen. I don't have a crystal ball. I'm just a guy behind a screen. So here's the market conditions. This allows us to zoom in and actually look at where the freight's at in these particular areas or these states that you want to be running to. Excuse me while I sip my coffee. So we're just starting up here in the Northwest. It's all looking, it's all looking good. If you're running that way, you're likely going to be in the Portland or the Seattle area, or even maybe Southern Oregon. But the freight up there is going to be in the Portland area. Not a surprise. So if you are headed to Seattle, make sure you've got that deadhead large enough where you're checking out Portland too. Moving down California. So case in point, California, if you're in the middle of the state, not a lot of freight. Majority of the freight's going to be down there in that Los Angeles market, and the San Francisco market is looking strong too. Kind of that San Francisco, San Jose area. Nevada, it's showing that the freight's up there in the north. I don't know. That's just a little hard to believe, but hey, I don't know everything, so I'm sure this thing is smarter than me. Let's see here. Let's jump over to Texas. So Dallas market has cooled off a bit. I mean, if you could say that, Texas is kind of down just in general. But the Houston market, so if you are headed here, you likely want to be running out of Houston, not necessarily Dallas. Arkansas and Tennessee. For Tennessee, the freight's over in the Memphis side. That kind of just remains the same. The hot Atlanta, South Carolina, North Carolina, I mean, they're still recovering over there. So I said earlier the hurricane I meant from the past. I don't know if I don't know how bad it is over there, but apparently it got really, really bad. So I'm sure they're recovering. I don't know if you guys, there was one storm that just absolutely wrecked the Carolinas. It was when I was driving, but I think it was, can't remember if I was an owner operator yet. I don't remember, but I remember it was so bad over there that the cell towers were down, and I would drive like 2 hours without a cell reception. That's how bad they got smoked over there. But the flooding over there is just really bad. I was shocked. So when they get hit with a hurricane, it's kind of like Louisiana. Like you just don't want to go. You don't want to go to Houston either. Kind of flood easy, but those Carolinas too. And it takes a while for all that to move out. So keep that in mind in your preparation. The Northeast. So Pennsylvania, it's going to be the eastern half, which is standard or normal. That's going to be where the freight's at. The western half is still okay, but the majority of the freight's going to be on that eastern side. And then Jersey, of course, you've got the northern half going to have the freight up there. So moving over to the Midwest, that Illinois market, it's showing to have some of it down there in St. Louis. There's going to be some of that freight's going to be down in St. Louis, but uh, the Chicago market is going to be where a healthy portion of that is. And then the Indiana, the southern half of the state, it's not a surprise, right? It's down there by Indianapolis. Ohio, you're going to have the southern half, and then the northeastern side is going to have the freight for Ohio. And then the Great Lakes states, it's going to kind of remain the same. You're going to have it in the Minneapolis area. The Wisconsin is going to be on the eastern half, and then in Michigan, it's going to be on that western half. So pretty kind of normal stuff, really. Outside of the Northwest being in really good shape, and then the Great Lake areas being in really good shape as well. So that would be the lane that I'd still continue to wear out, especially before it starts snowing and winter starts coming and Wyoming becomes a skating rink. Yeah, that's what I would be doing. That's where I would be trying to make all the money. And that being said, if I am running that lane, I'm trying to run light. I'd be trying to run light and fast personally, because I know that the rates still aren't good regardless. And when the rates are not good, you generally need to speed up to get more miles in to offset the dip in price. When the rates are high, you actually want to slow down and get the best fuel mileage that you possibly can. When rates are high, fuel prices are generally high. Generally, not always, but when you have that combination, that's when you want to slow down. I know that seems counterintuitive, but you're going to keep the most money running that way. There's a little nugget. Hosicle, got my CLP yesterday, hoping to get some experience behind me before things pick up, so I'll be ready to go. Your videos are hugely helpful in my education. Thanks. Absolutely, man. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. I know I see you in here almost daily, so thank you. I appreciate it. I'm doing this, just doing this to try to help. It's. I know things are not great right now. I know they're not, but everything is cyclical. Everything, literally everything in life, and we've just gone through a terrible 4 years, and it was bound to happen. I mean, if you just look at all the signs, the housing market doing what it did, fuel, like it all pointed to we were going to struggle for a little while. And the great news is we didn't crash. I mean, we certainly were in a depression, but we didn't crash, which is shocking. I'm shocked. It could still happen, but I think that it's a little bit less likely now. I think it is way more likely that we see the boost. You've also like a really good one to watch now is the crypto market, right? And I'm not saying go invest in it, but what I am saying is that it was in a downward cycle as well, and it's extremely cyclical. Like it's so cyclical that it's almost predictable, and that's crazy considering how volatile it is. But it is certainly primed for a massive run up. So just kind of across the board, like that's what we're seeing. And I'll be happy to be doing this. And, when everybody's all hunky dory and happy and, making tons of money, and it'll be great to, point you guys in the right direction to make even more money. That's the whole point of this. When I was out there doing this, I wanted to make sure that I was maximizing how much money that I made, no matter what I did. That's why I moved over to flatbed, and that's why I eventually got that step deck, and um, I bought that trailer. Um, I would, if I had stayed out there, I would be hauling heavy. I would be doing heavy haul, or I mean, not necessarily heavy haul, but I'd be doing all OD by now for sure. Just because that's where the money's at. But I know that's not for everybody. It's nerve wracking. uh, it's fun, and you don't have to stress. Well, it's different stress. Let's put it that way. Um, but that's also something that's seasonal too. So it's or not seasonal, but cyclical as well. And it takes a lot of experience to get into that. But regardless, anyway, I went off of a bit of a tangent. The whole reason I do this is because I want to help you guys maximize, the amount of money that you're making out there, and keep the most money that you possibly can. Yeah. So thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. Raymond asks, what is your opinion on trucking and election years? Well, um, it's usually good. And the reason that I say it's usually good is because we are either at the end of a um, Republican term, and so the economy has already started to turn around. Um, Fuel prices are almost always down because they always open up more drilling, more natural gas just across the board. So you're making more money. You're able to keep more money. Let's put it that way. And because transportation costs have gone down, people are making more money. So just generally, it's great at the end of a Republican year. At the end of at the end of a Democratic term, it's also great because they've been sticking it to us, for however long, and they know that they're trying to get reelected, so they drop the prices. The fuel comes down, and so it's almost the same thing, except it's not as good as it is at the end of a Republican term. Now, this particular election year, I think, is a little more volatile than normal. Um, this video might get pulled down for what I'm about to say, but I really don't care. I don't care what you believe. Um, if you don't think that last election was stolen, I think you're blind or nuts. But I don't think that they can get away with it. I think that the first time around that Trump ran against Hillary, it was such a landslide that they couldn't steal it. And and they just flat don't care. They just don't care what the population thinks anymore. So it's, they've got an agenda, and I think eventually they're going to wind up, the powers that be, whoever the hell that is. I don't even know, but there's certainly people that are pulling the strings. So damn sure isn't the president. Um, but I think with this year being so volatile that, that we just don't know. I think that everybody is just concerned, and everybody is just so unsure about what's happening, or what can happen, what's gonna happen, that I think everyone's just on edge. Um, I mean, look at our vice president, and our presidential candidate. I mean, like, I'm sure she's a nice person, whatever, but like, for that to be the Democratic nominee that Democrats didn't even vote on, like, that's insane. That's insane. And like, if you watch the VP debate, like, that was a murder. uh, which I knew it would be. I mean, Vance is just sharp. Vance will very likely be our president one day. Um, he's just sharp. But Man, it's scary, but I do think that Trump was able to reel in what he needed to reel in, which is he basically his flair, so to speak. And I think that he was able to win over enough of the people that he pissed off the first time around that I don't think it's going to be close. But the problem is he needs to win in a landslide, so that way they can't steal it. Another case in point, there were what they used to vote in. I don't remember if it was Arizona or New Mexico. I think it was Arizona, but like it came out, and this was just a few months ago they were connected to the internet. Like, what the hell? They're not supposed to be. So I mean, it's just more evidence and more evidence. Like, it just keeps popping up. The people in Georgia are, saying that it was stolen over there. Like, come on, it's crazy, and it's blatantly obvious, which is just even more crazy to me and blows my mind. So but all of that, it's so unknown and so in the air right now. But I believe this to my core, that Trump is going to win, and with Vance being his second, that even if they were to take him out, which I hate to say that, but I think he has the highest probability of being taken out than anyone we've had, likely since JFK. And guess what? JFK rocked the boat. That Vance would be a really good, he's a really good backup plan. And so I do think that when they win, I think that it's going to turn around, and you guys are going to make a lot of money over the next 4 years. So you heard it here first. I don't know if that's Figue. I am new to all of this. What load board do you recommend? I own my truck is paid off, but I don't have a trailer. Which way you recommend, dry van or flatbed? Thanks and God bless. Who, Kamala Mama? Man, she's like the crazy ass aunt that like everybody really likes, but nobody really wants to visit because she's just a little too crazy. You know what I mean? Figu, that's a loaded question, my friend. And that there are a lot of variables. A lot. It depends where you live. It depends on how you like to run. Depends on what your work ethic is. And I'm not, just know thyself, right? If you know thyself, then you can make the best choices for yourself. That being said, if you just want me to give a general recommendation, just a general one, right? Let's go back to this and let's look at our handy dandy little trend lines right here. So this is the national spot rates, if you can see this. If not, I'm going to talk about it. This is the average across the board of all the loads, right? You've got $2.02 freight per mile for vans. You've got $2.44 rate per mile for flatbeds. Now, you can't run as hard on a flatbed. You're not going to get as many miles on a flatbed unless you know the tricks. And you will learn the tricks, but it does take time. So like when you start running flatbed, while you're learning to do all this, while you're learning how to manage your clock and, do all the things, you're going to make a little bit less than you normally would. But when you figure it out, when you figure out where to go, anytime you specialize, here's a general rule for life. Anytime you specialize in anything, anytime you specialize in anything, you're always going to make more money. It's just the way it is. General doctors make X amount of money. I don't know. Let's throw it out there. Let's say it's $200,000. But if you're a brain surgeon, I mean, I don't even know what the base salary is. At minimum, they're making $800,000 a year. And I know that because I knew a brain surgeon from my hometown. So he made way over that. But anyway, the more you can specialize, the more money you're going to make. Van is very generic. It's the easiest to learn, to do. It's the cheapest trailer, kind of all the things. I would personally this is what I did. If you kind of follow through, like a shameless plug, you can go back and look at all my videos, right? I documented my story essentially. I went to Mercer and I learned how to flatbed there. I did okay there. I liked it. It was fine. I think it depends on where you live as far as what you want to do. They were based out of Louisville, so I think if you're close to Louisville, that's a great company to go to and learn. Landstar is a little bit more, you're still leased onto a company, but it's a little bit more like being an owner operator, like a true owner operator, and you don't have as much hand holding, so to speak. They're not going to guide you. But if you are a go getter, once again, you need to know thyself. If you are a go getter and you know that you have that work ethic where you're going to figure it out, I'd say just go straight to Landstar. Like, because unless you're in a position where you can buy a trailer, if you're in a position where you can buy a trailer, then that changes everything. But if you're not in a position where you can buy a trailer, you can go to Landstar and they'll just, they'll give you a trailer. So you can kind of learn from there. They'll run you through their little load securement course, which I didn't do because I did it at Mercer. Um, One thing I will recommend, if who figure out who has the most knowledge in that class, and get phone numbers and take pictures of loads, send them to them. Hey, how do I secure this? How do I tarp this? Ask other, flatbedding is different than pulling a van or pulling a reefer. Like, the other guys that are there, while they're securing, like, they are happy to help you. Seriously, it's so weird. You go in the truck stops and everybody's grumpy, but you while everybody's tying down friggin' loads in 100-degree heat, like, everybody's happy to help. So it's just a totally different side of trucking. But I mean, it's a really loaded question. Um, I mean, of course, I recommend DAT. I get it. I get that they sponsor me, and yeah, if you sign up for my link in the description box, like, yeah, I get paid for that. It's an affiliate link. Um, but at the same time, they have the most freight, right? So, um, it's up to you. But like, if you go to Landstar, like, you don't, like, you'll use their load boards. If you go to Mercer, you'll use their load boards. Um, Landstar, it's unnecessary to use spot market freight, because if you use nothing but their shippers, which you'll figure out real quick who that is, you'll make way more money than, the spot market average. It's not even close. So I hope I answered your question. There was a lot to unpack there, but yeah. So anyway, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you so much. Y'all got to hear the dogs go off. That's because the wifey came home. I'm gonna go get my kiss. Um, yeah, y'all have a great day. Keep the shiny side up, but as always, stay driven. Talk to y'all.